Have you ever considered what would transpire if the unthinkable happened? A nuclear disaster, perhaps? Let's rewind to April 25, 1986, at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine. The staff was conducting a safety test on the fourth reactor, an experiment designed to understand how the plant would operate during a power outage. Little did they know, this would lead to a catastrophic sequence of events. The reactor design was inherently flawed, with graphite tips on control rods that could cause a power surge. Coupled with a series of operator errors, these design shortcomings set the stage for disaster. Late into the night, the staff disconnected the reactor's emergency safety systems and power-regulating equipment, ignoring the potential risk. As the test began, reactor power levels fell dramatically, much lower than the safe operational limit. In a bid to correct this, operators removed too many control rods, leading to an uncontrollable power surge. The reactor's water coolant began to boil, producing steam and a subsequent increase in pressure. At 1:23 a.m. on April 26, the pressure blew the reactor's roof off, exposing the core to the outside world. A second explosion followed shortly after, hurling out radioactive material and igniting a graphite fire that would burn for days. The immediate response was marred by confusion and denial. Initial reports downplayed the severity of the situation, with officials assuring the public that everything was under control. Emergency crews, unaware of the extreme radiation levels, were dispatched to the scene without proper protective gear. Meanwhile, the residents of the nearby city of Pripyat, home to many plant workers, carried on with their lives, oblivious to the invisible danger in the air. It wouldn't be until 36 hours later that the evacuation order was given, forever abandoning the city to the radioactive fallout. In the early morning of April 26, 1986, the world witnessed one of the worst nuclear disasters in history unfold. Imagine the chaos and confusion that followed the explosion at Chernobyl. As the reactor's core exposed to the open air, the immediate priority was to contain the spread of radioactive materials. Emergency crews, undeterred by the invisible enemy, rushed to the site. Their mission? To extinguish the fires and prevent further explosions. Simultaneously, rescue teams were deployed to save lives, working tirelessly to evacuate those affected and provide critical medical aid. Meanwhile, the beginnings of a monumental cleanup operation were set in motion. Thousands of workers, later known as liquidators, were conscripted to decontaminate and secure the area. However, despite the swift action, the response was plagued with difficulties. Misinformation, underpreparedness, and the sheer magnitude of the disaster created a tumultuous environment. Yet amid the chaos, one thing was clear: the extraordinary courage of those who risked their lives in this nuclear nightmare. The response to the disaster was chaotic and riddled with challenges, but it was also a testament to the bravery of those who stepped forward in the face of danger. Can you envision leaving your home at a moment's notice, never to return? Imagine the city of Pripyat, once bustling with life, now silent and deserted. In the immediate aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster, a mass evacuation was ordered. This wasn't a gradual exodus. People had to leave everything behind, their lives uprooted in an instant. Imagine the confusion, the fear, the loss felt by thousands as they were forced to leave their homes, their belongings, their memories, all in the blink of an eye. Pripyat, once home to nearly 50,000 people, became a ghost town overnight. Today, the city stands frozen in time, a haunting reminder of the disaster that unfolded one fateful day. Empty homes, abandoned schools, silent streets echo with the lives that once filled them. The once vibrant city is now an eerie tableau of a life abruptly abandoned. In the wake of the disaster, Pripyat became a chilling testament to the sudden and devastating impact of the Chernobyl explosion. Scene script. Have you ever wondered how you can contain an invisible deadly force? This was the daunting question that faced engineers and workers in the wake of the Chernobyl disaster. Their answer? The sarcophagus. This colossal structure of steel and concrete was a Herculean feat of engineering, built with a singular purpose: to enclose the damaged reactor and limit the release of radioactive material. Building the sarcophagus was no easy task. The site was riddled with lethal levels of radiation, making it a deadly workplace. But the urgency of the situation necessitated swift action. Engineers had to design a structure that was not only robust enough to withstand the harsh conditions, but also flexible enough to accommodate the unpredictable nature of the damaged reactor. The sarcophagus was constructed from over 400,000 cubic meters of concrete and 16 million kilograms of steel. It was built in pieces off-site, then transported and assembled like a giant jigsaw puzzle over the damaged reactor. But the sarcophagus was more than just a physical barrier. It was a symbol of human resilience in the face of unthinkable adversity. It was a testament to the unwavering determination of those who risked their lives to protect others from the invisible threat of radiation. However, this massive structure was not a permanent solution. Over time, it has had to be reinforced and maintained to ensure its effectiveness. The new safe confinement, a larger, more advanced structure, was later built to encase the original sarcophagus, providing an additional layer of protection. The construction of the sarcophagus and its subsequent maintenance efforts are a significant chapter in the story of Chernobyl. They represent the relentless human endeavor to contain the catastrophic consequences of the disaster. The sarcophagus stands as a stark reminder of the disaster and the ongoing struggle to contain its aftermath. It is a symbol of mankind's resilience and ingenuity, a monument to our capacity to confront and overcome even the most formidable challenges. How has one event shaped our approach to nuclear energy and policy? An excellent question, and to answer it, we have to journey back to the aftermath of Chernobyl. Chernobyl wasn't just a catastrophic accident, it was a turning point in how we view and handle nuclear energy. The disaster sparked an international conversation about nuclear safety, leading to tightened regulations and protocols worldwide. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, stepped up its role in promoting safety standards, monitoring nuclear activities, and providing a platform for global cooperation. In the wake of Chernobyl, many countries re-evaluated their reliance on nuclear power, leading to a slowdown in the construction of new reactors. Germany, for example, resolved to phase out nuclear power entirely, a decision that has sparked both applause and criticism. But it wasn't just about regulations and policy. Public opinion towards nuclear power shifted dramatically as well. The horrifying images of Chernobyl's destruction and the stories of those affected turned public sentiment against nuclear energy. The fear of another Chernobyl-like disaster led to protests in opposition to nuclear power plants, particularly in regions with a history of seismic activity. Yet there's another side to this story. The need for clean, carbon-free energy sources to combat climate change has brought nuclear power back into the spotlight. As we grapple with the urgency of the climate crisis, some argue that nuclear energy, despite its risks, should be part of the solution. And so, the debate continues. Researchers and policymakers are constantly weighing the pros and cons, examining new technologies, and revisiting safety measures. Chernobyl has taught us that the question isn't just about harnessing nuclear power, but doing so responsibly with the utmost respect for its potential dangers. The Chernobyl disaster forever changed our perception of nuclear power, prompting us to reevaluate its risks and rewards. As we look towards the future, the shadow of Chernobyl continues to shape our approach to nuclear energy and policy. What has become of the Chernobyl site today, over 3 decades after the disaster? The Chernobyl site is transformed, becoming a stark juxtaposition of past tragedy and present fascination. A 30-kilometer radius around the power plant, known as the Exclusion zone, remains largely uninhabited by humans, but it's far from lifeless. The Exclusion zone is turned into an unexpected haven for wildlife. Wolves, deer, and even rare species like the Przewalski's horse have reclaimed the land, turning the remnants of a nuclear disaster into a thriving ecosystem. It's a testament to the resilience of nature, a silver lining amid the wreckage and a subject of ongoing scientific study. But the wildlife isn't the only draw to the Exclusion zone. The site has also seen a surge in what's known as dark tourism. Visitors from around the globe venture into the Exclusion zone, guided by professional tour operators who ensure safety protocols are followed. They walk the abandoned streets of Pripyat, gaze at the crumbling buildings, and witness the eerie remnants of a once bustling city. It's a powerful reminder of the tragedy, an opportunity to pay respects, and a unique way to learn about the history firsthand. These tours, while controversial, have their merits. They educate visitors about the disaster and its aftermath, and the tourism revenue helps fund ongoing maintenance and scientific research in the Exclusion zone. Some of the tours even include meeting with survivors, offering a personal insight into the disaster that a book or documentary can't quite capture. However, the Exclusion zone isn't just a tourist spot or a wildlife refuge. It's also a living laboratory for scientists studying the long-term effects of radiation on the environment and wildlife. These studies can provide invaluable insights for managing the aftermath of nuclear accidents in the future. Despite the tragedy that occurred here, Chernobyl has found a new lease on life, albeit a strange and haunting one.